You so much for agreeing to do the interview today.
Oh, no problem.
Now, mate, this movie, I sat down and watched it and it absolutely blew me away. So, congratulations.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So, tell us a little bit about where this idea for this film first came about for you.
Well, there was a. You may remember there was a pandemic a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And during that pandemic, Taiwan, the country that I was living in, that I am currently in right now, it handled it very well. The what do you call that? Keeping infection rates down and all that sort of thing, closing the airports and all that sort of stuff. So we had a situation where there just was like no COVID for like a year and a bit, like maybe 14 months. And during that time, I just happened to be working for this production studio, and the opportunity came to do a movie, and the guy who was the producer, or who would later become the producer, was just like, we got to do a pandemic movie. We got to do like a zombie thing. And I said, okay. And then I started thinking, like, I knew what the budget was going to be. It was going to be not, super big. So I thought that it would be smart to try to stand out by making the movie like really like crazy and like intense and hardcore, and try to make it feel as dangerous as possible. I kept saying, like, if we're gonna make a horror movie, we should try to make like the most horrifying movie. So then the idea of making the infected people like sadistic maniacs just seemed like the right idea, because it seemed kind of like the best place to go in terms of where the zombie genre like was at the time. Like make zombies dangerous again, I guess, was the mantra. And then then at that point, all you do is you just start coming up with creative ways to sort of kill people in an urban environment, and try to use the backdrop of Taipei to like come up with like these sort of localized kinds of kills. So that's basically it. It was it's pretty straightforward, I guess.
How did you come up with those kills? Because I know when I was at film school, I traumatized one of my lecturers with a horror film that I wrote, coming up with creative kills. How did you come up with those creative kills? Because there's so many in there that we've never seen before on screen.
Well, tell me about your creative kills.
I've always been fascinated by creative kills that just use natural things. So for one of mine, I wrote a film about a terrorist, and I decided, what's the easiest way to do a terror attack with limited funds? So I had a guy steal a petrol tanker while the driver was out of it at a petrol station, and drive it through the front doors of a Westfield shopping centre. So you've got an instant fireball. And our poor lecturer, she was like reading this stuff and saying, do I need to talk to the federal police about you guys? Like, you guys are coming up with all these creative things that could be potentially dangerous.
Yeah, well, okay, so that's like a good, like, like, I wouldn't call that a kill, because it's like, it's not intimate enough. Like that,
Yep.
if you were to shoot that, it would be like, it would be more like Invasion USA, starring Chuck Norris,
Yep.
or one of the first four Die Hard movies or something.
Yep.
But like in terms of, but it is a good idea. But in terms of like kills, I think that what it comes down to is like it has to be kind of like that. You'll notice that the sadness is kind of like usually maybe only like 2, 3, 4, 5 people on the screen during one of these scenes of violence, because I really believe that it's important to kind of keep it like intimate, and because that way the audience can kind of identify with the people who are getting hurt, and that tends to make the violence seem a lot more intense than like a large, a lot of people being killed at the same time. I guess, yeah, like with the kills and the sadness, like a lot of it was just kind of like going, driving around Taipei, or like just going around like on my daily routine, and then just kind of looking around and kind of being like, oh man, what if I just did that? What if I just picked, like reached behind the counter at the restaurant and then just dumped the boiling grease all over that guy, or another one that I thought of, but we didn't do in the movie, was like we have like a teppanyaki a grill, like like the sort of what do you call that in Australia? Like where the guy,
the same. Grill, yep. The teppanyaki grill. Yep.
Yeah. So teppanyaki is like I thought, oh, wouldn't it be funny if this guy is sitting next to me, like I'm eating, and then this guy sitting next to me is eating too, and I just like go behind him and then just like smash his face, like press his face down onto the counter and cook his face, like so you're just thinking about kind of like ways you could be bad, and then we just, and how fun is that, just to kind of think of those sort of goofy, violent ideas that I would never do in real life, of course, but putting them onto the screen in such a way that it makes a compelling gore movie for people who are inclined to like that sort of thing.
Definitely. Now, living in Taiwan, how important was that for you then, to be able to just drive around and find locations? Was that something that you found a lot easier because you were there? You weren't an outsider coming in just to shoot a film?
Well, there are all these like considerations that have to be taken into account when you're doing locations for films. Like, you might find a place that you think is great. Like I might find, let's say, a restaurant or something that I think is great, but then the people who run it, they don't want to be involved with the film, or like we tell them what it's about, and they don't want their restaurant associated with that or whatever, or maybe there's just a straight scheduling conflict where it's like, oh, okay, well, but today we have to be at this hospital on this side of town, but then at 4:00 we have to go over here to do this, and this is too far. So instead, we're going to compromise and do this other thing. Like we're going to find a place that looks kind of like it over here. So, you have an idea in your head. Like you're going around with your phone, taking photos of places that you think are like the right places, but then in the end, you're just leaving it to like the production planner, or rather the production coordinator, to kind of find the right places. But yeah, like, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's, honestly, man, I have no frame of reference. I've never made a movie anywhere except for Taiwan, so I have no way to compare it with anywhere else,
Yeah, that was actually my next question. We have a lot of young filmmakers that listen to this show. What was the big difference that you noticed going from shorter films to directing a feature film, and also stepping away from animation as well?
Well, with animation, you're basically doing everything all by yourself, and you have a lot of control. And when you go to film, really is a collaborative, a collaborative art form, and you have to kind of resist the urge, if you have the urge, to be a micromanager, and to sort of try to, be really like tight gripped on everything. Like some places you do still have to be like that, but other places, if you see someone who's really good, you want to give them their autonomy to grow and to be better and stuff. As far as short films to feature films is concerned, it's just a lot of like making sure that your continuity is all there, like in terms of things that you can control. Like if somebody gets blood on their shirt, and when you're shooting out of order, you have to make sure that like you have to make sure that somebody's paying attention to that stuff, so that you can make sure the continuity's there. And also stuff that you can't control, like for example, if you shoot something on one day that is like let's say a sunny day, and then the next part of the scene, which is a week later, turns out to be like an overcast day or even a rainy day. How are you going to deal with that? Like, so you just need to be able to like think on your feet and plan things out as well as you can, but then also be flexible enough to change a thing if it needs to be changed. I guess that's really the difference. The only real difference between a short film and a feature film is just that it's longer, and you just have to plan it a lot more, and you just have to be really, really thorough with your planning, because it all has to match up, and in the end, if you don't get your shots, then you're fucked.
Yep, definitely. So Barant and Regina, they are absolutely fabulous in the lead roles. Tell us a little bit about how you discovered them. Was it an open audition, or were they people that you already knew?
Barant was chosen by one of the producers. The guy just saw him in a movie and was just like, "I want that guy." And I was like, "You sure?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And Barant gave an audition, and I was like, "I don't know about this guy." But then I had lunch with him, and he was like, "Oh, I really want to do it." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, you can do it." So then after that, the cat role that later went to Regina was originally intended for somebody who's older, like someone who's maybe in their late 20s or early 30s. And that didn't work with Barent because it added this sort of extra dimension to the relationship between them. Like, he's much younger than her. And of course that's not unheard of, but like it just changed the way that they were, that I just wanted it to feel, So I was like, okay, well, we need to go younger with them. So we ended up just having an audition, not an open audition, but just a casting agency just brought in a bunch of girls, and we went through like a lot of girls looking at auditions and stuff, and then Regina came in. She was one of the very last to come in, like maybe the third last or second last, and what really sold me on her being Kat was just her scared face. I thought, like, okay, if she can make me feel scared for her in an audition, then that's what we need, because in a horror film, it's not about being scared of the villains or scared of the monsters or whatever. It's about being scared for the characters, like the victims. That's really an important distinction that needs to be made. So that's how we found them.
Awesome. Well, Rob, we are running out of time very, very quickly. I just wanted to say before I go, the film has been so well received by horror fans so far at festivals. How do you feel now that it's about to get put onto Shudder for the whole world to take a look at?
I'm just happy that it's finally coming out, because I don't know what the hell took so long. Like it was just, like we came out with this film for January 2021 in Taiwan, and then it just took so long, dude. Like, it's a relief more than anything else. I'm just happy that everyone can see it, and they can all do their little bullshit YouTube reviews or whatever, and I can watch them, and I can laugh, or I can get angry or whatever. Like, and then I can just move on and start working on the next film.